Choledocholithiasis. In the bile ducts, we'll talk about choledocholithiasis, that is CBD stones. Biliary strictures, we talked about biliary injuries. Choledocholcis, we have already talked about that. And tumors of the bile duct, we'll discuss later with tumors of the gallbladder. As we know, CBD stones are present in about 10 to 15% of all cases of gallstones. And CBD stones may be primary or secondary. Primary stones are formed de novo in the bile duct, and usually they are brown stones correlated with infection. Secondary stones are those that are formed in the gallbladder, and then they pass into the bile ducts, uh, either because the cystic duct is wide or because the stones are too small in size, very small size. Stones can pass in the CBD and can increase in size later on. Uh, so the primary CBD stones are usually brown stones which develop primarily in the CBD, and as we know, they are more common in Asian population. They are associated with bacterial infection in the bile duct, and associated also with worm infestation, that is Ascaris or Clonochus sinensis. They're brown in color because they're a combination of bile pigments as well as cholesterol. Secondary stones are more commoner. About 85% of CBD stones are secondary stones. They are called retained CBD stones when they are found within 2 years after a cholecystectomy. So any stone appearing in the CBD within 2 years of cholecystectomy is thought to be present there right from the beginning, and they are called as retained common bile duct stones. When we do routine intraoperative cholangiography, about 10% of times CBD stones may be discovered. But routine cholangiography is not done for all the patients. Usually we do intraop cholangiography for some selected group of patients, those where we have high suspicion of these patients having CBD stones. Like if their symptoms suggestive of jaundice, cholangitis, pancreatitis, or if on imaging the CBD is dilated, or if bilirubin and alkaline phosphatase are raised. Only in these patients intraoperatively cholangiography is done to identify these stones and then address them. About 1 to 2% of patients following cholecystectomy will present with retained stones. That means the stones were present there, but they may manifest themselves possibly within first 2 years after cholecystectomy. Whenever there are CBD stones, we should also suspect there's some problem with drainage of the CBD. So there may be CBD stricture, there may be sclerosing cholangitis or sphincter of Oddi dysfunctions, or there may be cystic dilatation of CBD. And it's important not to just address these CBD stones, but also to see whether there is some other abnormality which is preventing proper CBD drainage. And when found, the treatment is not just retrieval of the stones, but also addressing these abnormalities, which may be dilatation of the stricture, doing a sphincterotomy, or sometimes providing adequate drainage to the CBD by doing a hepaticojejunostomy or choledochoduodenostomy. CBD stones can cause obstruction of the bile duct, and the symptoms, as we have already discussed, are Charcot's triad and Raynaud's pentad. That means pain, fever, and jaundice. These are the common symptoms of CBD stones. When these three are present, usually we should suspect cholangitis and sepsis. And if cholangitis and sepsis is suspected, they need some prompt urgent treatment in form of antibiotics, which are parenteral antibiotics, which may be a coverage for gram-negative organisms like meropenem, amikacin, or ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin extra. And After antibiotics, also these patients should be promptly investigated by uh, cholangiographies. Most often it is endoscopic retrograde cholangiography wherein you can diagnose the stones as well as treat them. ERCP is usually done for both purposes, that is diagnostic as well as therapeutic, and usually you should see to it that you have a plan and you go for ERCP only when you want to do both diagnosis as well as treatment. Stone obstructed in the distal end of the ampulla can cause pancreatitis. So, of the clinical presentation of CBD, pain, fever, and jaundice that forms the Charcot triad. Fever is present in 92% of the patients, jaundice in 62, 65%, and pain is present in 42%. All the three may be present only in 19%. So it's not necessary for all the patient to have pain, fever, and jaundice. When the sepsis sets in, these patients may develop signs of septicemia, that is hypotension, obtumentation, uh, and organ failure may sooner set in. So, presence of cholangitis and sepsis usually it prompts a immediate urgent treatment for these patients. The pain with CBD stone is colicky in nature. It's moderate in severity and located in right upper quadrant of the abdomen. The pain is not as severe as gallbladder colic, and it's intermittent, transient, and recurrent. Uh, the jaundice present in these patients may be suggestive of obstructive jaundice, and there may be darkening of the urine, there may be scleral icterus, and lightening of the stools, that is clay colored stools may be there. Although the obstruction is partial, these patients may present with jaundice, and jaundice with choledocholithiasis is more likely to be painful as compared to when jaundice appears in malignancy, wherein there is progressive deepening jaundice without pain. Acute cholangitis is bacterial infections imposed on an obstructed bile duct. So, uh, if infection is present in an obstructed duct, it's more dangerous and it's difficult to treat. You have to not just address the jaundice and pathophysiological effects of jaundice, but also you have to uh, besides antibiotics, address the obstruction. That means some form of drainage procedure should be done. And for normal size common bile drugs, the best investigation as well as therapeutic intervention is endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography, that is ERCP. The most common organisms cultured in bile are E. coli, Klebsiella, Enterobacter, and group D streptococci. Cholelithiasis is the most common cause of acute cholangitis. Cholangitis occurs less commonly in malignancies, and another cause of cholangitis is ERCP, any interventional procedure in the bile duct. Gallstones are responsible for 50% of all cases of pancreatitis, and the other common cause of pancreatitis is alcohol. We'll talk about pancreatitis later. Conversely, when we see the patients of gallstones, only 4 to 8% of cases of gallstones will have develop pancreatitis as a complication. Investigations, a complete blood count is done. Leukocytosis can be seen in patients of cholangitis. Alkaline phosphatase and bilirubin may be raised. SGOT, SGPT may be raised. Renal functions are done for further investigations that these patients may require, like CT or MRI, MRCP, and ERCP. Coagulation profile, PT and PTT. These patients should be optimized for coagulation profile because prothrombin time may be prolonged. And when operating on these patients before surgery, we should document blood culture, the organisms present. You should also confirm whether the pancreatitis is there or not, because Some of these patients may have diffuse pain, and uh, also pancreas may be involved with distal CVD obstruction. So amylase and lactase are also sent. All these patients should be optimized before planning at any kind of intervention. So besides antibiotics, which are parenteral antibiotics, meropenem or aminoglycosides, and you have to see the coagulation profile. You have to optimize INR. Of the imaging studies, the first imaging study that we do is ultrasound. Ultrasound has a very poor sensitivity for CBD stones, 15 to 40% only. But ultrasound can tell you about dilated duct very accurately, up to 90% of times. It's difficult to visualize the distal end of the CBD and retroduodenal part of the CBD because of gas. And this ultrasound is done in sometimes in urgent settings. A dilated bile duct more than 8 millimeter is highly suggestive of some sort of obstruction, and further imaging should be done. For imaging the distal end of the CBD, we can do endoscopic ultrasound, wherein it's more sensitive to pick up, and one of the best imaging to find out the status of distal end of the CBD. Besides that, if a dilated duct is there, you can also do intraop ultrasound, which is becoming increasingly popular for the surgeons to address CBD stones. CT scan may show dilated ducts, and if as is very common with CBD stones, some of them may have liver abscess as well, because pyogenic liver abscess is the most common cause of CBD stone. And on CT, you can evaluate the patient for presence of liver abscesses as well. You can rule out other causes of obstruction. It's has a sensitivity of 70 to 90% for detection of CBD stones. Most of the stones are radiolucent. Uh, for further doing imaging studies of the bile duct, that is cholangiography, initially non-invasive investigations may be preferred, like endosonography or MRCP. MRCP is very useful in some patients, especially those who are seriously ill, and if you want to delineate the bile duct, and if there's some diagnostic dilemma, it may obviate the need for endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography, which is an invasive investigation. So if MRCP is normal, you can avoid a ERCP there. And can document the presence of stones or some cause of obstruction if it is there. Uh, all the remaining methods of cholangiography are invasive, that is ERCP, intraoperative ultrasound, intraoperative cholangiography, T-tube cholangiography, and percutaneous transhepatic cholangiography. We'll talk. MRCP has a sensitivity of more than 90% and specificity of 100% for CBD stones. It is non-therapeutic. You can easily diagnose the stones. Like in this image, you can see the distal end of the MRCP shows a stone which is a negative shadow over here. A bile, because it gives high signal intensity on T2 phase, is bright. So CBD is appearing as bright, and the stone is appearing as a negative shadow. A normal MRCP can eliminate the need for an ERCP. Here again, an MRCP image shows a lot of filling defects in the distal end of the CBD, and these are all gallstones, and you can delineate all the bile ducts. You can find out the anatomy of the bile ducts very clearly. The aims of treating CBD stone is first to clean the CBD of all the stones, to extract or retrieve all the CBD stones, and then uh, the imaging will also tell us that whether they need better drainage for the obstructed bile ducts, because some form of obstruction, whether it's papillary stenosis, uh, a sphincter of aortic dysfunction, or if the CBD is not being drained properly because of stricture, these patients will also need a drainage procedure besides the retrieval of the CBD stones. So the initial treatment is uh, by endoscopic retrograde cholangiopancreatography, that is ERCP. With ERCP, you can do an endoscopy, you cannulate the bile duct and do imaging studies, confirm the presence of stones, see the anatomy of the bile ducts, and in the same setting, you can also retrieve these stones by doing a sphincterotomy, or by doing a balloon swap, for, or with a Damier basket. These stones can be retrieved. Small stones may be retrieved through an intact papilla, whereas larger stones will require a sphincterotomy to be done. Stones larger than 2 centimeter in diameter will also require some further treatment because they cannot be retrieved through by endoscopic means. So they may require a lithotripsy or chemical dissolution before they can be addressed by endoscopic means. Uh, Indications for preoperative ERCP before cholecystectomy. Many times when both CBD stones and gallstones are present, if the CBD size is normal, we prefer the endoscopist to deal with these stones. In normal size CBD, usually it's better for an endoscopist to retrieve all the stones by ERCP. And usually CBD stones are suggested by cholangitis, biliary pancreatitis. There are certain patients where there are multiple comorbidities and they're seriously ill. In this procedure, the surgeon would like to minimize the surgery, and it's better to optimize these patients by doing a ERCP and drainage first. And similarly, if a surgeon has limited experience for CBD exploration, it may be an indication for preoperative ERCP before cholecystectomy. So ERCP is a primary diagnostic as well as therapeutic modality. CBD clearance can be done 75% of times in the first setting and 90% of times in the second setting. Most of the stones can be addressed by the endoscopist by ERCP. A sphincterotomy may be performed, a balloon swap or balloon sweeping of all the stones is done, all the stones are extracted, a stent may be placed. Complication rate of ERCP is 5 to 8%. And the common complications are bleeding, cholangitis, pancreatitis, bile duct injury, and duodenal perforation may occur in 1%. So here we can see the endoscope being passed up to the second part of duodenum. The sphincter of Oddi is cannulated, and then cholangiograms are taken. These are cholangiograms which may show stones as they when contrast is injected, they may show as a negative shadow. And here the endoscope CBD is cannulated. There is a dilated duct and a stone as a negative shadow. And this is a sphincterotome which is used for doing a sphincterotomy. Sphincterotomy is done at 11 o'clock position, and about 0.5 centimeter, that is 5 millimeter of the sphincter may be divided at 11 o'clock position. Sometimes more longer sphincterotomy may be done even up to 1 centimeter so as to retrieve the stones from the common bile duct. A balloon may be passed in through the sphincter of Oddi into the common bile duct, and the stones may be, after inflating the bulb and the balloon, the stones may be retrieved through the CBD. A stent may be placed in the CBD. Commonly, plastic stents are used when they are used to be, stenting is to be done only as a temporary measure. And for malignancies, these metallic stents are used. They have a longer patency rate, don't get obstructed early. And ERCP is also used for post-cholecystectomy syndromes. At least 50% of patients with post-cholecystic syndromes have biliary disease, and most of these patients, uh, the condition are functional in nature. They may be sphincter of artery dysfunction, they may be improper drainage of the biliary tree. There may be delayed emptying, which can be demonstrated on an ERCP or a HEDA scan. And CBT should be normally cleared within 45 minutes. If we inject contrast in the CBT, usually by 45 minutes it should clear. And uh, in the same study, if you're doing a manometry of the biliary tree, high pressure zone in the sphincter region is seen. It's usually 5 millimeter to 10 millimeter high pressure zone in the distal end of the CBD, which is sphincter, and the sphincter pressure is normally less than 30 millimeter. When it is more than 30 millimeter and the patient is having post-cholecystectomy pains, and an ERCP can demonstrate, we can do a manometry and find out whether there is some severe sphincter of artery dysfunction. In these patients, a sphincterotomy may be helpful to provide appropriate drainage of the CBD. Surgical interventions for CBD stones. Surgical options should be tailored according to the individual needs of the patient. Laparoscopic common bile duct exploration, not many surgeons are skilled in this, but once if the surgeon is confident of doing it, the CBD can be cleared by the surgeon in the same setting when he is doing laparoscopic cholecystectomy. Usually, if the duct size is less than 8 mm, the surgeon would not like to intervene on the CBD because these incisions on the CBD are likely to develop strictures. So if the duct size is less than 8 mm, the stones in the CBD are better left for the endoscopist. And if the duct CBD is dilated, then CBD exploration may be done. Usually, uh, if the cystic duct is wide enough, and the duct which is cannulated may be dilated up to 7 to 8 millimeters, and if the stones are less than 8 millimeter, they can be retrieved through this transcystic exploration. But if the stone size is more than 8 millimeter, and if there are multiple stones, the surgeon can give an incision right over the anterior aspect of the CBD in the supraduodenal part, and retrieve all the stones directly from the choledochotomy wound. So these three options, transcystic exploration, open choledochotomy, uh, these are the simplest of the procedures, wherein the after removal of the stones, if it is transcystic exploration, the cystic duct is ligated, and if it is open choledochotomy, a T-tube may be left in the CBD for about 3 to 6 weeks. And after that, a cholangiogram is done. If there are no further stones in the CBD, the T-tube may be removed after 3 to 6 weeks. We'll see these procedures. If the drainage is inadequate, the patient may need choledochondrostomy, uh, Roux-en-Y hepaticojejunostomy or choledochojejunostomy, or transduodenal sphincterotomy. We'll talk about these procedures as well. Open CBD exploration is done when transcystic approach is not possible. Like if the cystic duct is very, very friable, you cannot use it for safely, you cannot close it. And so it's better to do choledochotomy and remove the stones from the choledochotomy wound. So incision is given on the anterior aspect of CBD in the supraduodenal part, and stones are removed directly from the CBD. So if the stone size is more than 8 millimeter, which cannot come out through the cystic duct, and if the cystic duct is friable, it's better to do an open CBD exploration. If there are multiple hepatic stones, intrahepatic stones, they will not come out through transcystic approach. Uh, any stone proximal to the cystic duct and CBD junction can be retrieved by giving a choledochotomy incision and through that. it may be removed. Presence of distal bile duct strictures. These patients, besides removing the stones, will also need some sort of drainage procedure. Failure of ERCP. ERCP may be sometimes difficult because of either a papillary stenosis or uh, a large size stone impacted at the sphincter of Oddi, uh, or sometimes because of periveterian diverticulae. The retrieval of the stones from CBD may be difficult by endoscopic methods. Also, in patients who have undergone uh, distal gastrectomy, here because there's a Roux and Y loop, uh, these stones may not be easy to remove by all. It needs a different set of instruments to remove these kind of stones in patients with distal gastrectomy. Recurrence of CBD stones after endoscopic sphincterotomy. If a sphincterotomy was done previously and still, despite that, stones have reoccurred, they are better addressed by surgical methods. And open CBD exploration may be done, may be accompanied with also a drainage procedure. So in CBD exploration, incision is given over the anterior aspect of the CBD in the supraduodenal part, and uh, through this all the stones are retrieved by Desjardins forceps. Both the proximal and distal side stones may be removed, and after that a T tube is kept in the CBD and it is brought out uh, from the anterior wall of the abdomen, and this T tube is kept for about 3 to 6 weeks, and when the tract has matured, a cholangiogram is done to see if the CBD is clear. If everything is okay, and this the CBD is the T tube is clamped to see the effects. If there's no leak, then T tube may be removed after 3 to 6 weeks. In choledochoduodenostomy, whenever the drainage procedure is also required, maybe because there are a lot of stones which are difficult to retrieve from the distal end, or if endoscopic sphincterotomy has been done previously and despite that stones have reoccurred, it's better to do a drainage procedure, and one of the simplest procedure is choledochoduodenostomy. Usually all these drainage procedures are done when the ducts are dilated more than 1.5 centimeter. Here, incision is given on the anterior aspect of the CBD, just above the duodenum, and an incision is also given on the duodenum. Uh, Now, after clearing the duct of all the stones, these two incisions are anastomosed to each other. The posterior wall is sutured first, and then the anterior sutures are taken by 3-0 or 4-0 Vicryl absorbable sutures. Uh, with this, there may be 5% incidence of cholangitis and SAMP syndromes. SAMP syndrome is because the distal end of the CBD may still contain some sludge, and this may give rise to some attacks of pancreatitis or cholangitis. So, to address this problem, hepaticojejunostomy or choledochojejunostomy can be done. In choledochojejunostomy, a Roux loop of jejunum is taken. The jejunum is divided about 6 inches beyond duodenojejunal flexure, and the Roux limb is the Roux limb of jejunum is taken, and a hepaticojejunostomy is done. A high hepaticojejunostomy with a good wide diameter is done, uh, and the jejunostomy completes the procedure. In this procedure, we can see that the bile is going straight into the jejunum, and so these patients are vulnerable for 2% chances for developing duodenal ulcers because the alkaline bile doesn't goes, it totally bypasses the duodenum and enters straight into the jejunum. Sometimes impacted stones in the distal end may be difficult or dangerous to be removed from the open CBD explorations or by endoscopic means. If there is a tight calcific stenosis of the sphincter, here they need definitely a drainage procedure. So in these cases, transduodenal sphincteroplasty can be done. Here, first a duodenotomy is done. The second part of duodenum opposite the ampulla of Vater is opened for about 2 to 3 centimeters, and the ampulla is identified. And at 11 o'clock position, uh, the CBD is first cannulated, and then at 11 o'clock position, an incision is given for about 5 to 10 mm, and both the ends uh, are stitched with a 4-0 vicryl so that the distal end of the bile duct is anastomosed to the incised mucosa of the duodenum. So this sphincteroplasty provides a wide drainage for the common bile duct, and through this wound, which may be about 3 to 5 millimeter uh, wide, the CBD stones can be retrieved. Uh, the pancreatic duct can also, if that is also stenosed, can be addressed at the same setting when a septoplasty is done. The pancreatic duct is cannulated and a small incision in the pancreatic duct for about uh, 3 to 5 millimeter is given, and both the ends, the pancreatic duct with the remnants bile duct, is stitched together so as to provide wide drainage to the pancreatic duct as well. So transdural sphincteroplasty and septoplasty are used for stenosis in the ampullary regions. For high biliary strictures, percutaneous transhepatic cholangiography may be required. The dilated ducts are initially cannulated under ultrasound guidance by a Chiba needle. A contrast is injected. The ducts are identified and they are cannulated by a fine cannula, after which the cholangiograms are taken. So if the stricture is high, sometimes it may be required to separately cannulate the left hepatic duct and right hepatic duct or the sectoral ducts so as to have a clear idea about the biliary anatomy. And through these ducts, stents may be passed across the stricture may be dilated uh, so as to provide a biliary drainage. The bile can be drained internally into the duodenum or externally, which is PTBD, percutaneous transhepatic biliary drainage. So these procedures are useful in both benign biliary strictures as well as in malignancies, cholangiocarcinomas, where these procedures may be helpful. Thank you.